I've had a lot of jobs over the last 14 years of my professional career in software testing and engineering. I've been fortunate enough to have resigned for most of those jobs. I talk a lot about layoffs on this channel, but I also want to talk about quitting a job and signs that it might be time for you to quit your job. So in this video, I'm just going to share some of the reasons why I have quit a job and some of the reasons why you might want to consider looking for different opportunities if you're feeling just not right where you currently are. But before we talk about any of that, hi, I'm Kim. I am a senior level quality assurance engineer. I've been doing software testing and engineering for a very long time, it feels like. I've worked across various different industries, and in particular, we're focusing on the tech industry. Can't speak on any other industry because that's the only one I've been in over my entire professional career. So let's get started. Reason number one, it might be time to quit your job. It affects your physical health. It affects you, how you physically feel. If you are starting to feel sick, if you are starting to get migraines, if you are just starting to feel so bad physically, and you know you generally feel well, it might be a sign that it's time to quit your job. Your job can be creating a lot of stress to where it is physically affecting your body. I've heard this happen to teachers, in particular teachers, but this has happened to me where I'm normally a pretty healthy person at that time in my life. I worked out, I went to the gym, I ate good food, I didn't drink excessively. And so I thought I should be feeling pretty fine. And I noticed that I was starting to get migraines daily towards like the middle of the day, the end of the day. And it was starting to affect my vision. There were times where I just had to go home. I couldn't see, my eyes were getting blurry. I couldn't figure out my migraines. And my husband, then boyfriend at the time, was like, I think you should go get an MRI. So I went to get checked out. I got an MRI. They did the scan, which is pretty terrifying in your 20s to think that like, I have to go get an MRI. There might be something wrong with my brain. And they were like, we think it's stress. Are you stressed? And I was like, actually, I am. So I immediately after that started looking for another job. And I knew the stress was coming from my job because at that time I felt very roadblocked in what I was doing. I was very much like in a growth mindset. I was trying to grow. I was trying to push the company to innovate. I was trying to do things that we were not currently doing. And I was just getting roadblocked by so many people, by processes. And it was just getting really frustrated. I was really not enjoying what I was working on because it felt like I was not able to really excel and succeed at my job because of all these different issues I was running into, people, tools, infrastructure. And I was getting stressed out every day. I was getting stressed out about going to meetings with certain people. I was getting stressed out just about the job entirely. And once I found another job and I left, I no longer felt like garbage. So if your job is stressing you out and it is affecting your physical and mental health, that is a sign that it might be time to quit your job. Another sign that it might be time to quit your job is that you are stagnant and you're not growing and you are in a growth mindset. Personally, I think that all engineers in the tech industry should be, especially early in their career, you should have a growth mindset. You should be thinking about how to grow, how to improve, how to contribute. And I understand that not everyone is going to be there, and some people just want to do their work and just kind of not be a superstar or to do extra and go above and beyond, and that's totally fine. But early in your career and as an engineer, we're constantly evolving with the software that we're doing, the processes that we're trying to implement, and the tools that we're working with. And so we're constantly growing and learning things. And so if you are at a job where you're not doing that and you're falling behind the rest of the industry, or you're falling behind and not really meeting milestones and benchmarks that you've set for yourself for your career progression, that is a sign that you might need to look for another job. There are some jobs that just don't look into employee growth and they don't have plans in place to how they want to grow their employees, how they get someone from junior level to senior level. What does that track look like? There are some companies that have no desire to innovate and they're always going to do what they've been doing for 15 years. And I do not enjoy working at companies like that. I don't think very many engineers do unless they're like getting ready to retire. But it could be really, really, really hard if you are like, I'm trying to get better. And this company's like, that's not an option right now, or we don't know how to do that. And if you are in that position and you very much have an idea in mind of where you want to be in the next year, 3 years, 5 years, and this company is not, it is in the way of you getting there, it's a sign that it might be time for you to look for another opportunity. Reason number 3, it might be time to quit your job. This is a lot of different reasons, but I'm just going to bucket it under poor leadership. Ugh, there's a lot of people running companies as engineering directors or CTOs or leaders or managers, even just regular managers. And they are stifling employee growth and employee happiness. It trickles into so many other ways of how the company runs and how teams run. And if you have poor leadership and you don't have faith and trust in the leadership at your company, that is a really big red flag and a sign that it is time to bounce. Poor leadership means, to me, now I've seen this happen, is they have no vision for where anything is going. Especially if you're at a tech company, there's no vision. They have no idea what's coming next over the next year, or even over the next quarter. They have no roadmap for how they're going to get from point A to point B. They have poor planning across all of their projects. You're constantly behind. You are constantly overworked. They disrespect your time. They disrespect you as an employee. They don't talk to you with respect. They don't treat their employees with respect. They don't respect boundaries. You're constantly being interrupted after hours. You have a super ultra awful work-life balance. And by work-life balance, I mean work never seems to end. And there's a difference between like you're on call, right? And you're on call for like incidents or something. But there's also a difference between you're being slacked at 10 p.m. You are being asked to work weekends all the time. And there's just no boundary between work and your personal life because we're all people outside of work and we got to tend to our personal lives, our families, and our own well-being. Poor leadership seeps into how you work day to day. And if there's poor leadership and none of the leaders seem to have a good beacon for what to follow and what to do, it is a sign to me that it is time to go. There's a saying that says like people don't leave companies, they leave managers. And that is so true. Absolutely. Every company that I've ever left, it all kind of ties into leadership. If we're being completely honest, the leadership defines the culture. The leadership defines the people they bring in. The leadership defines what they do. The leadership defines the tools. The leadership defines the workload. And the people that, you know, your leadership hire below to manage us, day-to-day people, follow the leader and what the leader sets. And so if you have poor leadership, they have no vision, they have no idea what they're doing, no idea how to even run a leadership. There's no HR department. Everything is a mess. Poor leadership, it's time to go. I've seen this happen so many different ways and it's not worth it. So yeah. The next reason why it might be time for you to quit your job, you kind of see the writing on the wall with the company's longevity or your longevity of your position. So it might be a little challenging to do if you're early in your career, but if you're a mid-level to your career or you're a senior, you probably already know when it's time to quit if you're a senior level. But if you work at a company and they've been doing a bunch of layoffs and you've been spared during these layoffs and you're kind of like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it the next round, the writing might be on the wall that, hey, maybe more layoffs are coming, or this company's just not doing well at all. Work starts to drastically slow down. Sales numbers are really bad. In the company meeting, they mention how profits are down. They're gonna have to start making some cuts. Like, the writing's kind of on the wall that your position might be in jeopardy or the company's longevity might be in jeopardy. You know, it's time to start updating your resume and start putting feelers out there. So pretty obvious one, but I wanted to put that in there. The last sign that it's time to quit your job, and this isn't even really a sign. This is the most important thing right now, especially this economy right now. You quit your job when you have another one lined up. And let me get close to the mic here. Let me not touch. I'm testing out a new mic, y'all, and it's very sensitive. You do not quit a job unless you have another one lined up. And I am so serious, y'all. If you have not looked at any of the hundreds of videos about people not being able to find a job, if you looked at any social media or any LinkedIn, people are not finding jobs. It is taking people 6 months to a year sometimes to find a job. You do not quit a job unless you have another one lined up. 5 years ago, you might have got away with it. Not in this day and age, not in 2024. There are less jobs on the market, and there are more people on the market, and there are more people on the market because more companies are doing layoffs. In addition to that, there are more people graduating and getting into these fields. 5 years ago, there weren't as many people in tech. Now everybody went to a boot camp. Now everybody's gone to college, and now these people get certificates, and there are a lot more people on the market. So all of that combined, it is extremely hard to find a job. I don't remember what the statistic is. I want to say it's like 30%. Is it 30%? I want to say it's like 30%. You have a 30% chance of your job getting looked at by a human and getting called back when you submit a resume. I don't care how much you hate your job. If you are not in a position to not have that income coming in and you can rely on your savings or the help from other people, ideally it's savings, do not quit your job until you have another one lined up. And in particular, your offer letter is signed and your background check has cleared. Because offers could be rescinded and your background check can come back and you might not pass. Some people might say do not quit until you're in the door and you've started for the first couple of weeks. But I say your offer letter signed and your background check is cleared. That is when you put in your 2 weeks and you quit. Please don't quit. I don't want to see people struggling out here. I'm so sad and tired of seeing people struggling to find a job. Especially in tech, it is oversaturated. There's a lot of competition and there are less jobs. So if you are not in a position, again, if you're not in a position to live off of savings, you better not quit that job and you better stick it out and start looking for a job now, but don't quit. Okay? Okay. Just briefly, just real bonus thing. I don't like to use the word quit. I like to use the word resign. I believe in professionally resigning from a job with a proper 2 weeks notice. I don't care how much you hate that job. I don't care how bad they treated you. Always leave with dignity. And if you get an exit interview, give valuable feedback, but don't trash anybody or the company. And I say that because this market is so heavy on connections and so heavy on referrals. And you never know when you're going to need to count on a previous connection or referral at another company. So you always want to leave on a good note. You always want to have connections and colleagues that you've worked with previously and you've built connections and relationships with, because I don't know the percentage, but I'd say most of these jobs out here that people are getting are based on connections. Someone shared a post, someone referred them, someone recommended them, someone introduced somebody. So you need to be building connections now. And when you leave a company, you need to be cordial on your way out and give a proper 2 weeks notice. You might have to work with these people again, or this company might ask you to come back later on. I've actually gone back to companies before that I had resigned from. I left on a great standing and the company was happy to have me come back. And you never know when that might happen. Things might change or you might have a change of heart. You never really know, but always leave on a good, cordial note, because you never know when you're going to run into those people again. Tech industry is big, but it's not that big. And I feel like there's like 2 degrees of separation in the tech industry. You know someone who knows someone at this company, or you know someone at that company. And if you leave on a bad note, that will follow you because it can hinder your chances of getting an interview or getting in the job in the first place. I guess that's getting the interview. But those are all my tips for signs of when it's time to quit a job. I hope that this was helpful. If you have any tips that you'd like to share about knowing when it's time to quit a job, please share them below. I understand that there's probably some other signs that it's time to quit a job. I didn't list them because I haven't experienced them. All the reasons I've listed are all reasons that have been why I've quit a job. Heavy on the poor leadership. Heavy on that. Because like I said, it seeps into so many different areas of your day-to-day and how you work. So if you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment that lets YouTube know that you found value in this video. It will recommend it to other people, and it will also recommend other videos to you on my channel. If you want to hear more about tech layoffs, I've got some videos on my channel about that. If you are interested in quality engineering and testing and automation, I've also got videos around that. If you need a break from talking about job stuff in general, I've got videos about gaming because I have been spending a lot more time doing gaming and streams. So I've got some of that sprinkled in there for you as well. But if none of that suits your fancy, perhaps this video right here will suit your fancy. And if it doesn't, I still appreciate you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.